record label.
Tensions between Lil Meech and Rick Ross have reached a breaking point after a fiery confrontation where Meech accused Ross of dismantling everything he and his father built. Insiders say the clash happened behind closed doors during what was supposed to be a routine business meeting, but it quickly spiraled into a personal showdown. "You ruined my life. Everything my father worked for," Meech shouted, pointing to the rumored $120 million BMF deal Ross allegedly moved forward without him. Sources claim Ross manipulated contracts, cut Meech out of major earnings, and left both his legacy and his name in tatters.
He did a lot for everybody, man. Banks, Lamborghinis. I'm over Banks had a Lamborghini, that in the snow, man. They even put it in the garage, in the snow, man.
Adding fuel to the fire, 50 Cent, who had warned Meech about trusting Ross, has now spoken up, saying bluntly, "I told him this would happen." The fallout has reignited heated debates over loyalty, power, and exploitation in hip-hop. With alliances crumbling and trust shattered, the BMF legacy is entering one of its most volatile chapters yet. Things just took a sharp, devastating turn for Lil Meech. Once the breakout star of the BMF series and a rising force in entertainment, he's now watching his empire and reputation go up in flames before the world's eyes.
Yeah, so look, I do want to do a BMF film because you've been entertained by a lackluster, small budget series. Now it's time to do a big budget film. Which director? Shout out to my homie F. Gary Gray, Antoine Fuqua, what's up? Tarantino. It's a lot of legends. This is gonna be big, I can feel it. I'm just talking.
Right in the eye of this storm is Rick Ross, the man whose quiet power plays and ego-fueled moves may have just derailed Lil Meech's entire rise before it even reached its peak. And now, everyone's asking the same question: how did it all collapse so fast? How did a young star with fame, fortune, and unstoppable momentum lose everything he worked so hard for? And why did 50 Cent suddenly pull the plug on the BMF series? Let's rewind. At first, it was all looking perfect for Lil Meech. His acting career was on fire. BMF was dominating culture and the future looked untouchable. The checks were massive, the recognition was real, and his name was cementing itself in Hollywood and the streets alike. But then Rick Ross stepped into the picture, and that's when cracks began to show. Ross, notorious for behind-the-scenes manipulation and headline-grabbing schemes, linked up with Big Meech, fresh out of prison? But let's be clear, this wasn't about loyalty or respect. This was strategy. This was Ross taking another jab at 50 Cent, stirring chaos and settling old scores. The fallout, instant and brutal. Out of nowhere, 50 Cent canceled BMF, leaving fans and insiders shocked. Overnight, Lil Meech's biggest platform, his main income, and years of hard-earned momentum vanished, all because Ross decided to turn real lives and legacies into pawns in his personal game of revenge.
You know, all that because it was still my start. So I was just going to the stars, building, the company building, meeting with the execs, and it might be one or two execs in there, and they just watching me, see if I'm good enough.
Took a picture with Rick Ross. Back against the wall and just slide.
Then things got even wilder. Rick Ross confidently announced, "I'm doing a real BMF movie. You've all been watching that small budget TV show. Now it's time for a big budget film. I'm calling my guy F. Gary Gray, and hey, Tarantino, what's up? This one's going to be huge." On the surface, it sounded like ambition. Underneath, it was a calculated jab, a public shot straight at 50 Cent's BMF series. Ross wasn't just pitching a film. He was trying to rewrite history and claim a legacy that was never his. To understand how deep this goes, we need to rewind further. The connection between 50 Cent and Big Meech stretches back to the early 2000s, a time when BMF wasn't just a crew, it was a movement. Back then, Big Meech wasn't just a street figure. He was power, ambition, and luxury personified. Flashy cars, massive parties, endless stacks of cash. Meech embodied the dream every hustler talked about, but few ever lived. Meanwhile, 50 Cent was building his own empire. Get Rich or Die Trying exploded globally, reshaping hip-hop and cementing 50 as a cultural icon. Their worlds, Meech's street dominance and 50's music reign, mirrored each other. Both men built something from nothing, and both became symbols of relentless ambition.
Lil Meech, you put him in acting school. You know, you take him from Detroit. I remember him rapping when he was rapping, and nobody was helping him from what I seen. Because I remember when Lil Meech was rapping.
Lil Meech was watching the entire hip-hop world get shaken by 50 Cent's raw honesty and unmatched storytelling. 50's rise synced perfectly with BMF's dominance across Atlanta and beyond. As 51 said, the crew down south really had money. They were living life to the fullest. Their worlds collided, and for a time, 50 and Big Meech shared a genuine bond. Tony Yayo revealed it wasn't just business, it was brotherhood. There was even a moment when 50 kicked it at Big Meech's house, with a young Lil Meech quietly soaking it all in. Back then, it wasn't about fame or deals. It was respect, ambition, and vision, but those early days of unity would eventually become the foundation for one of hip-hop's most complicated and public rivalries. Growing up, Lil Meech absorbed his father's stories, tales of power, loyalty, and the cost of both. He was mesmerized by Big Meech's charisma, confidence, and unshakable presence. The man didn't just enter a room, he owned it. Meanwhile, 50 Cent was building his empire differently. He wasn't chasing quick money or fleeting fame. He was strategizing, moving like a chess player while others sprinted blindly. Every move was deliberate. Every decision aimed at creating lasting power and legacy. And that's where the first major difference between Meech and 50 became clear. One thrived on immediate thrills. The other built power brick by brick, thinking decades ahead.
Lil Meech got Richard Millie's Chrome Hard jeans, 10,000. I buy some Chrome Hards for 10,000. I might wear them shits for a month, bro. $10,000 jeans. You know, we was buying Red Monkeys. Them is what $1,000 back in the day.
When I first started acting, I thought it was just reading lines. Like in school, I'm the type of person, I'm trying to figure out how to get an A+.
One of the most overlooked moments in this saga is when 50 Cent stepped in for Lil Meech, a decision that would change his life forever back then. Lil Meech was chasing music dreams, trying to make it as a rapper. But let's be real, no one from the BMF circle was really guiding him. His talent was raw, unpolished, and easily overlooked. Without the right push, that spark might have fizzled out. That's when 50 stepped in. He saw the potential others missed, a diamond in the rough, and decided to bet on it. 50 didn't just talk, he acted. He enrolled Lil Meech in acting school, giving him the discipline, skill, and confidence to step into an entirely new world. I remember when he was rapping and nobody was helping him, Tony Yayo said. From what I saw, 50 was the only one who truly believed in him. And that belief paid off. Lil Meech himself admitted how transformative it was. When I first started acting, I thought it was like school. I've always been the type who wants to figure out how to get an A without. Being told how that early investment laid the foundation for everything that followed. The reason Lil Meech landed his breakout role in BMF and began carving out a name beyond his father's shadow. It was proof that while some people were glorifying the past, others, like 50 Cent, were busy building the future.
You know, he kind of broke the barrier between, you know, the Atlanta, the 30 South country, you know what I'm saying, thing. So you know what, they really got some money down there. They really having fun down there. I want to go to Atlanta.
According to Tony Yayo, 50 Cent was playing the long game when it came to shaping Lil Meech's future. Every move was calculated. He quietly enrolled Meech in an intensive acting program, keeping things under the radar until the timing was perfect. And when BMF finally hit stars, everything clicked into place. That was Lil Meech's breakout moment. His performance turned heads, and this rise wasn't luck. It was 50 Cent meticulously building the foundation behind the scenes, making sure Meech was ready to shine when the spotlight hit. But 50's influence didn't stop there. Over the years, he stepped in repeatedly to help Meech navigate storms that could have ended his career before it even started. There was the airport incident when Meech was detained over a firearm concern, and another time when accusations of a stolen watch surfaced. Each time, 50 was there, not as a boss, but as a mentor guiding him through the chaos. During one tense moment, authorities were heard saying, "This is for your safety and everyone else's. Since there's a possible weapon, we need to confirm it. The X-ray doesn't give us the full picture." Through it all, 50 Cent wasn't just protecting Lil Meech's career, he was protecting his name, his mindset, and his future. In an industry where most people walk away at the first sign of trouble, 50 doubled down, proving that his loyalty wasn't just words, it was action.
Lil Baby he's not obligated to give you nothing. I looked at it like, from that point, maybe 50 should have brung a bag for Meech and maybe a watch or something.
But while 50 Cent was busy helping Lil Meech build a future and stay focused, something else was quietly brewing behind the scenes. As Meech's fame grew, whispers began to surface. Big Meech wasn't entirely comfortable with the growing bond between his son and 50 at first. It sounded like rumors, but a now-deleted Instagram post from 50 hinted there was truth to it. He suggested that instead of guiding his son towards stability and discipline, Big Meech might have been steering him in the opposite direction, subtly encouraging the same risky behaviors that once nearly destroyed everything. That revelation added another layer to an already complicated relationship. To understand the weight of this tension, you have to look at BMF's legacy. In 2006, the organization faced a landmark federal RICO indictment in Georgia, the first time a crew was accused of functioning as both a criminal empire and a legitimate record label. That case reshaped how law enforcement viewed hip-hop-affiliated movements, and its shadow still looms today, influencing every move, every headline, and every clash between 50, Big Meech, and Lil Meech. So when 50 Cent tried to steer Lil Meech away from reckless habits, especially substance abuse, Big Meech reportedly did the opposite. Instead of cautioning him, he glorified the lifestyle, reminding his son of the same dangerous world that nearly cost him everything.
My kitchen right here, refrigerator, stove. It's the Ferrari right here. Keep the Ferrari for good luck. My Egyptian style furniture, the lion. I like that old school look.
I thought about it, 50 Cent wrote. I think Big Meech was never fully comfortable with how close I'd gotten to his son. I'm warning Lil Meech to avoid certain habits, and he's out here telling him about the same things he used to do, like it's something to brag about. That clash in values was the first major red flag. 50's frustration only grew. He tried to teach Lil Meech financial discipline, slow down the reckless spending, think long-term, build something that lasts. But instead of supporting that, Big Meech doubled down on his old ways, bragging about the money he used to blow back in the day. Same story. Different generation, one man preaching structure and growth, the other celebrating chaos and fast living. That clash of influence explains why things eventually spiraled out of control. The breaking point came when 50 Cent dropped a bombshell. He had to send Lil Meech to rehab over an alleged substance issue. After all of the time, money, and effort 50 invested in guiding this young star, the situation behind the scenes was completely out of control. Eventually, 50 hit his limit. He cut ties with Lil Meech, pulled the plug on the BMF series, shut down funding, and walked away. Overnight, millions stopped flowing. Opportunities vanished. And worst of all, Lil Meech wasn't doing much to save himself either.
Don't play with Wham. You go Virgil. Virgil on them folks.
Let's be real, Lil Meech was spending like the money would never stop. His lifestyle wasn't just lavish. It was completely unhinged. Exotic cars, custom jewelry, designer fits. Private jets, what began as success had turned into obsession. He wasn't just living comfortably, he was living recklessly. Even Tony Yayo called him out, pointing out that Meech was rocking multiple Richard Mille watches, each starting at around $500,000. And he had more than one. It was a dangerous mix, unchecked spending, bad influences, and refusing to listen to those genuinely trying to help. Together, it destroyed what could have been one of the most powerful transformations in entertainment history. Instead of building generational, wealth and a legacy beyond BMF. Lil Meech ended up back at square one, cut off, sidelined, forced to start over. Reports say his spending hit insane levels, dropping $10,000 on a single pair of Chrome Hearts jeans like it was nothing. As Tony Yayo recalled, Meech had Richard Mills Chrome Hearts jeans, 10 grand each. I buy a pair for 10,000, wear them for a month. Back in the day, we were buying red monkeys for 1,000. Those were the days. It wasn't just nostalgia, it was a warning. Because when you forget where you came from, your success starts ticking down like a countdown clock.
Correctional officer is just rapping like a drug dealer. It shows you that's the point in our culture that you can identify with you actually being who you say you are. Doesn't matter.
The contrast between then and now was jaw-dropping, a stark reminder of just how extreme Meech's spending had become, and that was only the tip of the iceberg on social media. He flaunted the life everyone dreams about: exotic cars, marble floors, designer fits, and a mansion that looked straight out of a magazine. In one clip, he proudly showed off, "This is my kitchen right here," gesturing to top-of-the-line appliances. "Here's the Ferrari, I keep it for good luck. My Egyptian furniture, the lion, I love that old-school vibe." Every inch of the house screamed wealth and success, but Meech wasn't just flexing solo, he was rolling with the biggest stars: Future, Lil Baby, Ghana, artists pulling in millions from tours, streaming, and endorsements. To catch? They could afford it. Meech couldn't. Tony Yayo didn't hold back. "Lil Baby don't owe you anything. Maybe 50 should have brought Meech a bag or a watch, something." Reality hit hard. Meech was trying to play in a league his finances couldn't support. Even Yayo admitted that G-Unit used to go wild too: cars, jewelry, the works. But here's the key difference: 50 Cent always had a plan. Every flashy purchase was part of a bigger picture, turning money into businesses, ownership, and legacy. Meech? He spent like the checks would never stop. That mindset, that illusion, was the silent countdown to disaster.
And without a financial strategy, that's where the danger comes in. Without discipline, foresight, and long-term planning, even the biggest bags can vanish in a flash. For Lil Meech, that reality was about to hit full force. You did a lot for everybody, man. Banks, Lamborghinis. I'm over Banks. He had a Lumbo sitting in the snow, didn't even put it in the garage. That one line summed up the difference between 50 Cent's empire-building mindset and Meech's spending spree. 50's approach: calculated moves, long-term strategy, constant focus on generational wealth. Meech? Not wired that way. Instead of following a blueprint, he tried to keep pace with artists who had multiple revenue streams: tours, endorsements, merch, businesses, money that kept refilling itself. Meech didn't have that machine. And now, with BMF check stopped, reality was crashing in. Mansions, designer fits, private jets, all suddenly harder to sustain. "I don't play with Wham, you know." Virgil. Meech once said, referencing fashion icon Virgil Abloh, a sign of how deep he'd fallen into the world of image over impact. But here's the kicker: none of this came as a surprise. 50 warned him over and over, told him to slow down, to stop living like the money would never end, to focus on building real wealth, not just flexing. Meech didn't listen. He was too busy flexing. And now, the consequences hit hard: reckless spending, refusal to adapt, lack of vision. It all led to a collapse that could have been avoided. Enter Rick Ross, turning an already bad situation into a full-blown storm. While Meech's financial choices were sinking him, Ross was fanning the flames in his war with 50 Cent. Their rivalry is one of hip-hop's nastiest. It all began when 50 exposed Ross's past as a correctional officer, a move that shattered his street credibility. Since then, diss tracks, online jabs, personal attacks. The line between competition and pure hatred completely blurred. Correctional officer, rapping like a drug dealer, 50 said. It shows how far the culture's shifted. You can pretend to be whoever you say you are. Ross never forgot that line. So when he saw a chance to align with Big Meech, he jumped. Not out of loyalty, not out of friendship, But revenge, it was never about helping Lil Meech. It was about hitting 50 Cent where it hurt most. In one of the coldest moves this game has ever seen, Ross managed to sabotage Lil Meech's career just to settle a score. The tragic part? None of this had to happen. 50 saw it coming. He warned Meech. He said this alliance was a setup. But Lil Meech didn't listen. He stayed loyal to his father and doubled down with Ross. Now, he's paying the price. 50 cut ties, pulled the plug on the BMF series. Check stopped. Opportunities vanished. And just like that, the empire 50 helped him build crumbled. Lil Meech is out of a job, cut off from one of the most powerful figures in the business, and standing at crossroads, figuring out his next move. And knowing Rick Ross, this could just be the beginning. If Big Meech keeps cozying up to Ross, this feud could explode again, dragging everyone into a mess bigger than anyone expected. So here's the question. Did Lil Meech make the biggest mistake of his career siding with his father and Ross? Or was 50 right to walk away, protecting his legacy? And one last thought. Is Rick Ross just petty, or is this simply the way he plays the game? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because what comes next could shake the entire industry.